Okay, so the next stage of this project, after you've glued it all together, is to sand it all square. What I'm going to be showing you how to do today is using the belt sander. Okay, so you've just glued your piece of wood, 3 sections all together, but what you'll find is you'll find these top surface and the bottom surface are uneven, but also probably even more uneven than that are the end pieces. That's what we're going to be working on today. So we're going to be sanding just the shorter end pieces, this end and this end, to make them nice and square. And by the end of this, what you should have is all 3 pieces of wood sanded, so it almost looks like one piece of wood. So you shouldn't be able to feel any little ridges, any little edges here. These should all be gone and it should feel like one piece. So when we're sanding, we always need to mark it out. Okay, we need to make sure that we're sanding down to a line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tri-square. You've used this before when we do doing the cutting out stage, and I'm going to pick the sort of point along the top here. So I'm pushing my tri-square right up against this edge, and I'm going to pick a point. I don't want to take too much off. I'm just going to draw a very small line near the top just to make sure that this is square. And I'm going to do this here. Okay, you can see that line that I've just drawn on there, hopefully, right very close to the top. I'm not taking off very much at all. And then I'm going to do the same on the other end. So I'm turning it round, pushing my tri-square right up against it, and I'm having a look where the lowest point is. So I want to sand it, not taking loads off, just removing a little piece of it. So I'm going to draw a line here. So I'm using my tri-square and drawing a nice square line. If you want to, you could continue that line all the way around, but it won't be necessary. So I've got a line that I've drawn at the top there that hopefully you can see. Now what I'm going to do is take you across to the sander and show you how we sand down to that line. Right, okay, so this is the sanding machine. I'm knelt down so right next to it so you can actually see the machine. I'll stand up in a minute just to actually show you how to use it. So I've marked on a line on this edge here and on this edge here that we're going to be sanding down to. Okay, this is our line. We want to stop. We're not sanding off a lot. We're just sanding off a little bit just to get it nice and square. So this is the sanding machine. The way it works, it has a button here, green button for on, and then our stop button, which is this pedal here. Sometimes people might push the emergency stop, so they might push this in, and you might come to the machine, it's not working. If that's the case, you just have to twist this emergency stop button, you hear it click, and then it will release. But we need to get in the habit really of using this lever down here to turn it off. This is just for emergencies if you want to turn it off quick if people have an accident or stuff like that. Okay, so this is off here and this is on. First thing I need to do is, and this for the majority of you this will already be set up for the lesson, is I need to move this guard out of the way. So I'm going to raise my guard, and you notice you can sand things this long, but we don't need that much sandpaper being seen. So I'm just going to lower it there and tighten these just so I can see my line, but also I can't see too much of the glass paper. Now the way this works, I turn it on. Okay, the glass paper is moving round and round and round. It's called a belt sander. There is a belt of glass paper that's going round and round there very fast. Okay, obviously the only way this machine can really hurt you is if you touch that glass paper there. So we need to avoid doing that. We need to keep our fingers way away from this. And the other thing to bear in mind is if you push this too hard, it can become very hot and get burnt, and then if you touch this can burn you. So you just don't push too hard, just do a little bit at a time and sand it. The only bits we're going to sand are these two ends, so this end here and this end here down to our lines. I'm going to show you a different way in which we sand the top and the bottom. So basically you want to be standing at the sander, and you're going to push it forward, keep it moving, and just a little bit at a time sand down to that line that we've marked on. So let's do that now. Okay, so as you can see, not particularly difficult. I'm sanding this down. You can now see if I compare this side to the other end where I can see the cut lines that you've made, maybe with your Tedden saw. You can also see there's little ridges there. This side here, it's all nice and flat and feels like one piece of wood there. And I've gone down, as you can see, hopefully there with our line. Now, when I was doing it, I was keeping my hands nicely away. I wasn't pushing too hard. I was keeping it flat on the table. I don't want to see anyone lifting it off and angling it. Okay, you need to keep the material flat on the table of the sander, and then just push it in nice and slowly, nice and gently, and just keep an eye on when you're going down to your line. Okay, so I'll do it just one more time. So turn it on, flat on the table. Turn it off, sanding it down to our line over here. So we should have an end piece, both ends, that are nice and flat. And that's how you safely use the sander. Obviously you need to make sure you've got your apron on, you need to make sure you've got your goggles on. Obviously these goggles will go to be sanitized after I've used them. And that's basically how we use the sander. Pretty straightforward, pretty common sense. Once you've used one machine in the workshop, the rules are all the same. We need to make sure we have our apron on, as I said, goggles on, hair tied back, and all the sorts of things like that. Okay, any questions? Ask your DT teacher. Don't forget, we're only doing these end pieces. These long pieces, the sides, the top and the bottom as it were, we'll do in a different way. I'll show you in the next video.